merciless smackdown administered by the feds to Josh Duggar. Nothing has been simple for him since he was locked up. But what's going on with him now? See below for further information. The Counting On family endured a difficult and scrutinized period as they dealt with the controversies surrounding Josh Duggar. Even though it was difficult, they all kept their cool and did their best to make the family appear good under the intense scrutiny. Josh received and possessed child sexual abuse material, CSAM, which resulted in a sentence of nearly 13 years in prison. The situation has worsened with time, but it has been a hot topic for quite some time. According to Josh, his difficulties began with an ex-girlfriend, and now he's blaming TLC for pressuring him to expose his fabricated problems. The reality series Counting On and 19 Kids and Counting were shown on TLC. For the father of 7, it seems like things are only going downhill from here. Josh allegedly sent in legal documents via regular mail. According to the records, a third party may have helped him. According to their suspicions, among other things, many of Josh's supporters were relieved to see that he was finally receiving the severe punishment he had earned after reading the lengthy filing. Over the years, they believed he got away with too much bad behavior, and now they're over it. Some viewers of Counting On think Josh Duggar will never be able to put his criminal past behind him. Furthermore, there are many who believe he will revert to his previous behavior once he is released. Following their futile efforts to decipher this long document, Counting On viewers were even more dissatisfied with Josh Duggar. According to one reader, he was then criticized for all of his transgressions, and they virtually had nothing positive to say about him. Last but not least, there was a great deal of personal attacks and accusations that he is and always has been dishonest. The fact that he lied about the date he submitted it shows that he has clearly not learned anything. Imagine for a second the arrogant, self-satisfied thief who thought he could pull off his swindle by using some legal wizardry. Some people have said that Josh Duggar has learned nothing from his mother Michelle's homeschooling methods. They further brought up the fact that Josh, who was in no way famous, believes he is. Josh Duggar's meteoric decline from reality TV star to convicted felon ranks among the most astonishing court dramas of the past few years. Until the late 2010s, Duggar was famous for being the eldest son of the 19 Kids and Counting Duggar family. However, his legal career took a sharp turn in that decade. Federal agents, prosecutors, and the courts laid out the case against him in disturbing detail in documents they filed. This is shown in the court documents, the extent to which the smackdown really went. 1. Detainment and investigation. Why did the investigators become interested? Problems started when inspectors from the Department of Homeland Security linked a computer at Duggar's Arkansas used car company, Wholesale Motor Cars, to the exchange of images. The files in issue included photos of children and other sexually exploited children, CSAIL, downloaded in May of 2019. According to the specified timeline, Josh Duggar was indicted on 2 federal charges: receipt of child pornography and possession of child pornography, and detained by U.S. Marshals on April 29, 2021. 2. Motions before trial and court fights. Legal documents. The legal team for Duggar challenged multiple aspects of the prosecution's case through motions. Their goals included getting the case dismissed, having evidence suppressed, and challenging whether or not all evidence that could exonerate them was kept. The defendant's main grievance was that the investigating team had failed to seize and analyze devices that belonged to other individuals who had used the same computers, evidence that might have cleared their names. Prosecutors utilized statements that Duggar reportedly made during a search at the dealership in his trial. However, his lawyers moved to suppress these statements. Because Duggar's lawyer wasn't there and because his rights were at stake, he claimed they should have been suppressed, claiming that the case had grown stale, meaning that too much time had elapsed between the alleged action and the warrant search of his equipment. Another move aimed to suppress video evidence discovered on electronic devices. Despite what Duggar's camp said, the judge rejected their request, finding that evidence in child pornography cases did not expire. 3. Concluding remarks and decision.
Following a trial in Fayetteville, Arkansas in December 2021, a federal jury convicted Duggar guilty on both charges of receiving and possessing child pornography.
Duggar received a sentence of 12 years and 7 months in federal prison in May 2022. A lengthy supervised release term and further limitations will follow his fine and special evaluations. 4. Review and rejection. The attorneys representing Duggar filed an appeal with the Eighth Circuit. Some of the main points raised were that the absence of an attorney during the search warranted the suppression of any remarks made, that certain evidence was biased, and that the matter should be dismissed or suppressed accordingly. Federal Appeals Court 8th U.S. Circuit denied those arguments in its decision, upholding conviction August 7, 2023 on appeal. Duggar was informed of his rights. Investigators emphasized that he could leave at any time, and he really did so following the interview. This was crucial to the suppression case, but the court ruled that he was not technically in custody at the time. Following the denial of his appeal by the Eighth Circuit, Duggar filed a petition with United States Supreme Court, which declined to hear his case. The Supreme Court decided not to review his case on June 24, 2024, therefore upholding the decisions of all lower courts. 5. Important disclosures in the legal documents. What the court recognized as proven and what the prosecution claimed are both shown in the court records, motions, and decisions. The following are among the most incriminating evidence. The forensics team was able to link Duggar to the files by analyzing the metadata and IP address. They also found links between the devices, such as an iPhone and PCs at his dealership, and the CSAM activity. How dangerous the substances are. During one instance, an agent from Homeland Security characterized certain downloaded files as some of the most heinous he had ever encountered. There was no ignoring this. Statements made on the spot. During the search of the dealership, agents allegedly contacted Duggar and asked, "What is this all about? Has anyone been accessing pornographic material featuring minors?" On top of that, he came clean about being familiar with the file sharing apps that were already on his devices. The court considered these remarks as proof during the trial. 6. What happened next and how things are going in jail. Duggar is currently completing his term in a federal jail. Assuming all usual reductions are applied, his earliest release date is October 2032, with subsequent supervised release also planned. Ongoing legal matters. Appointed counsel for post-conviction relief has been sought by Duggar in more recent court papers. In his defense, he claims he cannot afford to adequately contest any possible constitutional flaws. 7. The battle, evidence from the legal documents. A few of points jump out at you like punches in a boxing fight as you go through the motions, decisions, and legal arguments. Metadata, device analysis, and IP tracking provide copious amounts of forensic evidence. Detailed technical evidence was presented by the prosecutors. They did not depend solely on hearsay. Disclosures that Duggar voluntarily or spontaneously made, which the prosecution used to establish a connection between him and the probe. Contextually, the court determined that Duggar was not in detention when he made those remarks, which undermined the claims for suppression. Many of Duggar's requests to dismiss were refused, including accusations regarding the lack of preservation of evidence and the suppression of statements. According to the court documents, the defense presented arguments from a variety of perspectives, but the judges rejected all of them as being insufficient in light of the law. The standards are harder at the appellate level. You have to prove obvious mistake, constitutional infringement, etc., and appeals that reach that level often fail. The judicial system upheld the trial and sentencing as being in accordance with the law, as neither the appeals court nor the Supreme Court chose to overrule or even consider the concerns. 8. The social and legal landscape at large. It's not just the legal details that have come to light. Many documents also touch on Duggar's history of controversy, including molestation accusations from his youth, his confession to pornography use publicly in 2015, and recriminations from family members. These events influenced public opinion and provided context. public and judicial perceptions of trustworthiness, character, and pattern of conduct are shaped by prior accusations, even though many of them were not pursued either because of lack of evidence or because the statute of limitations had passed. In summary, federal law, forensics, investigative techniques, and due process all come together in a high-stakes criminal trial in the case against Josh Duggar. The defense's prospects were progressively undercut by a series of motions and rulings that were revealed in the court filings, which exposed specific evidence including files, information, admissions, and accusations. Legal setback after legal setback befell Duggar, who persevered until the Supreme Court declined to step in, thanks to compelling forensic evidence, spontaneous admissions, and multiple court losses.